Hello, I'm Brad Smith, the president of Microsoft, and welcome to our Higher Education Reimagined event. At the outset, I want to note that I think there are few institutions that have had to persevere through bigger challenges than our higher education institutions around the world over the last year and a half. For so many of you, you had to suddenly change course and go remote without the preparation that typically one would want to have. You basically had to pick students up, and in some cases they had to move physically. They all had to be connected virtually. And for so many of you, you've then had to bring people back in a new way. There have been many institutions that are residential and people are on campus, but not necessarily attending classes in person. And there are so many institutions where some people are participating one way and others are participating another. It has been an extraordinary time, and I know that for an entire generation of students, this is not the higher education they imagined, but it is a higher education that, thanks to all of you, has served them as well as one could possibly hope under some extraordinary circumstances. Now we look to the future, and that really is why we're entitling this Higher Education Reimagined. We're not going backwards, we're going forward. And I think there's a few things that are clear. The world post-pandemic will in some important ways be different than what it was before. We've seen the pace of digitization advance and accelerate. We've certainly seen virtual tools, I think, here to stay. And that will reshape the world of higher education. We've seen the need of our students change as well. The skills they'll need when they graduate and go out into the workplace. In fact, at Microsoft, during all of this time, we've taken literally around the world a global skilling initiative, an initiative we launched last June with the goal of reaching 25 million people worldwide. And we exceeded that goal. We reached roughly 31 million people in 249 continents, countries, territories, even 91 people in Antarctica. And what we've learned, I think, speaks to not only us, but I suspect so many of you as well. A new generation of learners, regardless of their age, is hungry for a new set of skills. In some ways, these are new skills, skills around digital transformation. In some ways, these are traditional skills, the kinds of soft skills that have for generations been important to people's lives. And in many ways, they reflect a changing world, skills around how to succeed and work better with people in a world that is more diverse, that needs to be more inclusive for more people, from more backgrounds, from more places. And in addition to that, there's many harder skills that people are needing to master as well. So as we look to the future, the courses that have been important for universities for years will remain important, but new skills will need to be layered on. And I think the preparation of students for success after higher education will need to bring these things together. That's why we at Microsoft have created a new career coach. It's a Microsoft Teams app. It's powered by LinkedIn. It uses artificial intelligence. It's an additional tool that career services and other offices in universities, in colleges, in community colleges can use to help students track their own progression and identify the kinds of things that they need to master so that they will be as successful when they leave college as when they're in it. When I think about the course of colleges over time, it's really been a history of constant innovation. There's been a need for constant adaptation to changing countries in a changing world. And at times this goes faster, at other times less so. But what I think is clear is that if we look to the next year or two or three, we're hopefully going to be entering a better world, a world where we can look beyond the pandemic, but it's going to continue to be a rapidly changing world. And higher education will, of course, need to continue to change with it. That's where you come in. That's where so many of you will play important leadership roles. That's where we at Microsoft hope to do what we can to support you with the kinds of technology tools that can make all the difference. Thank you for joining this. I hope you'll find some other interesting things that you can take back to your work every day. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Thanks, Brad. It's a great pleasure to join all of you at an important time for really what is a historic change taking place across higher education. This event will give us an opportunity to reflect on our opportunity to embrace and reimagine higher education going forward, and reflect on and build on the learnings of the last 12 months. I want to thank you for the leadership that you've demonstrated to support your students and faculty during these tough times. I have seen amazing examples and frankly been humbled by the global experiences that I've seen of faculty jumping in to digital and remote learning for the first time in many cases with very little time to prepare, leaning on each other as a source of inspiration and learning to improve and be self-reflective on how they can be better facilitators in this remote world. I've seen faculty in many ways who didn't provide that sort of reflection on their own teaching in years of physical classroom instruction, being more self-reflective and improving their ability to impact and really create more immersive and impactful student experiences. I've seen students embracing this change and building on the opportunity to collaborate and connect with each other. We're truly facing a new world of how technology can expand the boundaries of a classroom and what it truly means to be enrolled in a university. We were seeing much pressure on all of you to deliver a more digital experience for your students that was more flexible and self-serviced for students, that created more flexibility in terms of how they consumed content, experienced campus life beyond just the physical experience, and connected with their peers, with the market as they sought jobs. That experience and that pressure was on the environment that you were providing for your students. All of that with the dynamics of inclusion and accessibility across your campus, tools and resources. Now, as we've embraced remote learning, those same pressures are starting to emerge, where students are wanting far more synchronous and asynchronous flexibility, more purposeful use of content and connection inside lectures. How do they expand their relationships beyond the course and the delivery? How do they keep collaboration and insight fueling their progression forward? Those pressures are also building on all of you. And one of the things that we've got to start doing is release the tension between the dynamics of and value of our campus experience, our traditional learning models, as well as the pressure on this remote learning as a new thing, and really embrace a world where the dynamics of how we experience our university includes the ability to be connected across campus, as well as having remote learning and remote connectivity being a part of every aspect and facet of a university life. This is going to be necessary as we embrace this new change going forward and really untap the potential technology can provide institutions to help learners be at the center, but provide a value that could extend the impact higher education can have. There's no worry about the disruption of higher education if we embrace the opportunity that this new experience provides. Now, we certainly have the tools at our disposal. In addition to the historic times of transformation in higher education, we are facing historic paradigm-changing technologies fueled by the arrival and the presence of the cloud. And truly, cloud technologies were a game changer in dealing with this pandemic. The ability to scale remote learning solutions very, very quickly globally was only made possible through the availability of cloud computing. These technologies, whether it's AI, mixed reality, IoT solutions, the arrival and certainly the mainstream of blockchain, which we're living through right now, and the emergence in the future of quantum computing will all have dramatic implications on the solutions that you deliver and the world of work your students will enter. I want to focus specifically on artificial intelligence because this is one of the areas that we're seeing rapid focus and improvements being made to deliver real impact to campuses and universities. One of the things that we want to reflect on is that there's really two areas of focus. There's recognizing that the world of work, the dynamics that your students both drive, create, and enter in terms of the future workplace is a world where the power and potential of AI needs to be unleashed. Every business, every industry is looking to take their insight, their data, their tooling, their resources, and apply AI to do a better job producing products, serving customers, or solving solutions. Your students need to be equipped in the work that they do on campus to embrace this new reality. But so too, you need to understand the value AI can have in the industry of higher education. How are you breaking down the silos of data across your campus and moving not from just displaying data, and not even just putting it into action, but to provide insight and intelligence that we can actually put data aside and actually use insight to fuel outcomes. AI has a great potential to not only personalize learning, to unbundle and create more flexibility for learner paths, but to give you real insights to improve efficiencies, safety and security, and the ways in which you maximize every resource and staff member in your institution. We've got to work more closely together to drive and unlock that potential going forward. It's really about unlocking and amplifying the human intelligence, really the opportunity that we can have to bring AI to make us better educators, make your experience more connected and valuable to students, and bringing experiences that can be real. It's not about the value of an algorithm. It's about how are we using AI to provide real services across your campus. There are a couple of examples. We certainly want to bring AI into applications and experiences that everybody can see and contribute to. This not only provides real value today with AI, but it brings a data-driven culture where people are consuming value that data and AI is creating, but also contributing to experiencing and building a culture that appreciates data and the richness that it provides. We need AI to help us be resilient. And certainly this was something that schools dealing with COVID-19 response benefited from and will need to continue to benefit from going forward as we face new challenges down the road. We also need to unlock the real asset that you have all across your campuses with data. We are trying to build data lakes with many institutions, and I would say many institutions don't even have data puddles. Where the data is unknown or missing, people don't have real transparency of the true potential that's going on, and how do we harness the real insight that data can provide. And in many ways, maximizing data, really this currency of data, is going to be really what drives institutions forward. Increasingly, the prestige and the history of an education institution's achievements is going to be diminished by institutions are forward-looking and do a better job of providing outcomes to students more efficiently and more effectively as it relates to job readiness, developing and building skills, and creating a campus experience both in present as well as remote that is really reflective of the needs of a student and maximizing the power of digital engagement. This is going to be a critical piece to prioritize in your journey forward. And one of the things that we do at Microsoft is look at the Education Transformation Framework, which is a tool we use in higher education, and starts by understanding where data sits across all the stakeholders of your institution. And no longer is it valuable to have data pockets within departments or disciplines within your institutions. We need a holistic understanding of what's possible as we go forward. Now, as we think about this new world of data, it's certainly connected to the new world of work and the new economies going forward in this fourth digital industrial revolution. Many jobs are becoming more digital, and this is something that will accelerate and expand post-COVID-19. And the ways in which these institutions are using data will drive new types of jobs and skills that you'll prepare your students for. This is all happening in a world of historic unemployment. We're reaching levels really that have really come to our times in the Great Depression as it relates to folks looking for work. Now, one of the challenges that we have is not, do we have talent? Do we have expertise? And do we have potential across the world? That's certainly not a question that we should ever ask. It's really about providing opportunity to fuel learners and individuals who've been displaced from work with the skills needed to address jobs. We truly have a global skills gap. but there's ways in which all of you can provide insight and relevance to what's going on every day in class to help students unleash their potential, unlock their connection to jobs and industry, and build the skills every day in a purposeful way to prepare them for the future. We certainly have a tremendous opportunity to leverage technology to help you expand your value proposition to become more relevant in that job economy seeking value that institutions can provide to students. But we also need to recognize that the students on your campuses, in your institutions, will truly fuel the future of work, fuel the future of GDP in countries around the world, build the solutions that are going to need to stop the next pandemic, and really be the heroes for our future. And so we've got to work closely together, and Microsoft is committed to helping your success in that area.